Hello everyone. I want to ask you something personal. When did you last feel truly calm? Not just physically relaxed, but genuinely calm inside. Free from the low hum of worry that follows you through the day. Free from the sense that something somewhere is wrong, even when you cannot name what it is. If you struggle to remember, you are not alone. Anxiety has become the defining emotional experience of our time. The World Health Organization reports that anxiety disorders affect more than 284 million people worldwide, making it the most common mental health condition on Earth. And those are only the people who have been diagnosed. But here's what makes this particularly striking. By most objective measures, people living today are safer, healthier, and more comfortable than at any point in human history. Life expectancy is longer. Violent crime has decreased in most countries over the past 30 years. Access to food, medicine, and information has never been greater. So why does the world feel more anxious than ever? That question is not just interesting. It is urgent. Because understanding the real causes of modern anxiety is the first step to doing something about it. And for English learners, understanding how anxiety affects your brain and your language learning is the key to unlocking a level of fluency and confidence you may not have thought was possible. By the end of this video, you will understand why anxiety is rising globally, what it is doing to your ability to think and speak in English, and most importantly, what you can do about it starting today. Stay with me, because this knowledge could genuinely change your life. Part 1. The Anxiety Epidemic in Numbers. Let us start with what the data actually shows, because the numbers are more striking than most people realize. According to the American Psychological Association, anxiety among young adults aged 18 to 34 has increased by more than 63% in the last decade alone. In the United Kingdom, a 2023 survey found that 37% of adults reported feeling anxious most or all of the time. In Japan, South Korea, and many parts of Asia, similar trends are appearing in national health surveys. This is not a regional phenomenon. It is global. Prescription rates for anxiety medication have increased by over 34% in the past 10 years in the United States. In Australia, antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications are now among the most commonly prescribed drugs. And these numbers only capture the people who sought medical help. Research suggests that for every person treated for anxiety, several more are experiencing significant symptoms without any support. And perhaps most revealing of all, studies show that this anxiety spike tracks almost perfectly with the rise of smartphones and social media. The increase began around 2012, exactly when smartphone ownership became widespread. This is not a coincidence. Part 2. Why modern life creates anxiety. To understand why modern life is so anxiety-producing, you need to understand how the human brain evolved. Your brain was designed for a very different world. A world where threats were immediate and physical. Where you needed to react quickly to survive. Where the danger in front of you was the only danger that mattered. Your brain's threat detection system, centered in the amygdala, is extraordinarily sensitive. It is designed to scan constantly for danger and trigger an alarm response the moment it detects a threat. In the ancient world, this was essential. A brain that missed a threat did not survive. So evolution selected for maximum sensitivity. But here's the problem. Your brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat like a predator and a psychological threat, like a worried thought about the future. Both activate the same alarm system. Both produce the same stress hormones. Both put your body into the same state of high alert. And in the modern world, you are exposed to hundreds of psychological threats every single day. Negative news from around the globe. Social comparison on social media. financial uncertainty, career pressure, climate anxiety, political conflict. Your ancient brain treats all of these as genuine threats, activating your stress response over and over throughout the day. The result is a brain that is chronically activated, chronically tense, chronically scanning for danger that never fully resolves. And that chronic activation is anxiety. Not weakness, not a character flaw. A completely understandable response to an environment your brain was never designed to handle. Part 3. The social media amplifier. Of all the modern factors contributing to rising anxiety, social media is perhaps the most powerful and the least understood. Because it does not just expose you to stressful content. It restructures how you think about yourself and your place in the world. The average person spends 2 hours and 27 minutes on social media every day. That is over 37 days per year spent consuming a carefully curated stream of other people's best moments, most impressive achievements, and most attractive appearances. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that reducing social media use to 30 minutes per day resulted in significant reductions in loneliness and depression within just 3 weeks. Social comparison is one of the oldest and most powerful human drives. Researchers call it social comparison theory, developed by Leon Festinger in 1954. Humans naturally evaluate themselves relative to others. In the past, your comparison group was limited to the people you actually knew. Your village, your community, your immediate social circle. But social media has given you a comparison group of billions. And not a representative sample. A highlight reel. Every person you follow on social media is presenting their best self. Their most confident moments. Their greatest achievements. And your brain compares your ordinary daily experience to this extraordinary performance and finds itself falling short. This constant sense of falling short is profoundly anxiety-producing. It creates a nagging feeling that everyone else has figured out something you have not. That everyone else is further ahead. That you are somehow behind in a race you did not choose to enter. And that feeling is exhausting. Part 4. The news machine and your brain. Here is something that most people do not consciously realize. The news is not designed to inform you. It is designed to keep you watching. And the most reliable way to keep people watching is to keep them anxious. Neuroscience research shows that negative information attracts attention more powerfully than positive information. This is called negativity bias, and it is deeply wired into the human brain. A threat is always more attention-grabbing than an opportunity. Bad news always spreads faster than good news. News organizations know this. And so they have optimized their content for maximum anxiety. Crime stories, political conflict, natural disasters, economic threats. Each one triggers your threat detection system, flooding your body with stress hormones, making you feel that the world is more dangerous and unpredictable than it actually is. Studies by Steven Pinker at Harvard show that by virtually every objective measure, the world has been getting safer and better over the past century. Violence has decreased. Poverty has decreased. Literacy has increased. Life expectancy has increased. But most people believe the opposite, because the news they consume is dominated by the exceptions to these positive trends. The result is a population that is chronically overstimulated by perceived threats. Constantly alert. Constantly prepared for a crisis that, statistically speaking, is unlikely to actually arrive. And that constant state of preparedness is both mentally exhausting and deeply anxiety-producing. Part 5. Anxiety and your English. Now let us talk about something that will change how you think about your English learning. Anxiety is not just an emotional experience. It is a cognitive one, and it directly interferes with the mental processes required for language learning. When you are anxious, your brain activates what researchers call the fight-or-flight response. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. Your attention narrows to focus on the perceived threat. Your working memory, the part of your brain that holds and manipulates information in the moment, is significantly reduced. This is exactly the mental state that makes speaking English so difficult for many learners. Research by Stephen Krashen, one of the most important linguists of the 20th century, showed that language acquisition is blocked when learners feel threatened or anxious. He called this the affective filter. When the filter is high because you feel nervous, embarrassed, or afraid of making mistakes, the brain literally cannot process and retain new language effectively. This means that a significant part of the difficulty many English learners experience has nothing to do with intelligence, talent, or the quality of their study. It has to do with anxiety, with the fear of judgment, with the stress of performance, with the constant background hum of not being good enough. The good news is that this works in reverse too. When you feel safe, supported, and free from judgment, your brain's language acquisition system opens fully. Learning accelerates. Speaking becomes natural. And English starts to feel not like a performance to be evaluated, but like a natural expression of who you are. Part 6. The comparison trap in language learning. One of the most anxiety-producing habits English learners have is comparing their progress to other people's progress. You watch a fluent speaker on YouTube and compare their effortless, natural English to your hesitant, imperfect attempts. You see another learner posting confidently in English on social media and feel like you are somehow failing. But here's what you are not seeing. You are not seeing the years of practice behind their current ability. You are not seeing the thousands of embarrassing mistakes they made along the way. You are not seeing the days when they felt exactly as you feel now. You are only seeing their present performance and comparing it to your own present struggle. This comparison is not just unfair. It is biologically misleading. Your brain experiences the comparison as a genuine threat, activating your stress response, reducing your confidence, and making your English feel harder than it actually is. The most effective English learners compare themselves only to their past selves. Not to native speakers. Not to other learners. Not to some imagined ideal version of themselves. They track their own progress over time and recognize how far they have already come. That recognition is motivating and anxiety-reducing, not crushing. Every English sentence you speak today is better than the sentences you spoke 6 months ago. Every word you understand today is a word that was once completely foreign. You are not behind. You are in the middle of a journey. And every step forward is real progress, no matter how small it feels. Part 7. What reduces anxiety in the brain? Here is the hopeful part. And I mean genuinely hopeful, backed by solid neuroscience. Anxiety is not a permanent state. It is a response. And responses can be changed. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that regular physical exercise reduces anxiety symptoms by an average of 48%. Even walking for 20 minutes a day produces measurable reductions in cortisol and increases in serotonin and endorphins. Your body was designed to move. And when it moves, your nervous system regulates itself naturally. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural calming mechanism, within seconds. A study from Stanford University found that a specific breathing technique called the physiological sigh, a double inhale through the nose followed by a long exhale through the mouth, reduces anxiety faster than any other breathing pattern. Your nervous system is always available to be calmed. You just need to know how. Social connection is one of the most powerful anxiety reducers known to neuroscience. Research shows that genuine human connection activates the same neural reward pathways as food and sleep. Loneliness, conversely, activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. You are a social creature, and connecting with other people in English or in any language is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. And one of the most effective long-term anxiety reducers is a sense of purpose. Research by Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, showed that people who have a clear sense of meaning and purpose are dramatically more resilient to anxiety and suffering than those who do not. When you know why you are learning English, when that why is connected to something genuinely important to you, your motivation and emotional resilience increase dramatically. Part 8. English as an anxiety antidote. Here is something beautiful that I want you to consider. English learning, done in the right spirit, can actually be one of the most effective tools for reducing anxiety. Not just because it gives you new skills, but because of what the process of learning requires of you. Real language learning requires presence. When you are genuinely engaged in understanding an English sentence, your attention is fully absorbed. There is no room for anxious thoughts about the future or regretful thoughts about the past. You are here, now, in the language. This is the same mechanism that makes meditation so effective for anxiety. And it is available to you every time you fully engage with English. Real language learning requires courage. Every time you speak in English despite feeling nervous, you practice the skill of acting despite fear. You build what psychologists call self-efficacy, the belief that you are capable. And self-efficacy is one of the most powerful protections against anxiety that exists. Every brave English sentence you speak is a vote for your own capability. And real language learning builds genuine connection. The ability to communicate across language barriers, to reach out to people who live differently and think differently, to understand stories and perspectives from around the world, this is one of the most powerful antidotes to the fear and isolation that feed anxiety. You are not just learning a language. You are building a mind that is more open, more connected, and more resilient. And that mind is far less vulnerable to the anxiety that is rising around us. Part 9. Reframing anxiety as energy. Here is a powerful reframe that can change your relationship with anxiety immediately. Anxiety and excitement produce almost identical physiological responses in the body. Increased heart rate, heightened alertness, faster breathing, a sense of heightened awareness. The physical sensations are nearly identical. Research by Alison Wood Brooks at Harvard Business School found that people who reframed their pre-performance anxiety as excitement performed significantly better on tasks requiring communication, creativity, and persuasion. Simply saying to themselves, "I am excited," rather than "I am anxious," changed their performance measurably. For English learners, this reframe is immediately useful. The nervousness you feel before speaking English is not a sign that you cannot do it. It is your body preparing you to perform. It is energy, not warning. And you can choose how to interpret it. When you feel your heart beating faster before an English conversation, try saying to yourself, "I am excited. I am ready. My body is giving me the energy I need to do this well." This is not self-deception. It is accurate. Because the physical state you are in when nervous is genuinely the same state your body creates when you are excited about something. The anxiety of language learning is not your enemy. It is proof that you care. That you are trying something real. That you are stepping beyond your comfort zone into the territory where growth actually happens. And that courage, practiced again and again, is what transforms anxious learners into confident speakers. Part 10. Choosing peace in an anxious world. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. Not a list of things to fix. Not another source of anxiety about anxiety. But a sense of agency. A sense that you have real choices about how you respond to the world you live in. You cannot control the global anxiety epidemic. You cannot stop the news from being negative or social media from being designed to steal your attention. You cannot eliminate all the uncertainty and pressure of modern life. But you can control how much of that noise you allow into your mind. And that control is more powerful than most people realize. You can choose what you consume. The news you read. The social media accounts you follow. The conversations you have. You can design your information environment to be nourishing rather than depleting. Not by avoiding reality, but by choosing your relationship with it. You can choose how you respond to anxiety when it arises. Not by fighting it or suppressing it, but by recognizing it, understanding it, and choosing your next action anyway. This is the essence of what psychologists call emotional regulation. The skill of feeling your feelings without being controlled by them. And it is a skill that can be learned and practiced. And you can choose to use your English learning as a daily practice of presence, courage, and connection. Every English session a moment of genuine focus. Every English conversation an act of brave connection. Every English word a small proof that you are capable of more than anxiety tells you. Final message. The world is more anxious than it has ever been. That is real. And it is okay to acknowledge that without pretending it is not true. But here's what is also true. You are reading this, watching this, learning English in the middle of a chaotic world because something in you refuses to give up. Something in you keeps reaching for growth. Keeps choosing understanding over fear. Keeps choosing connection over isolation. That something is not small. It is the most important thing about you. It is the part of you that will carry you through every difficult English conversation, every moment of doubt, every day when the world feels heavier than usual. You are not powerless in an anxious world. You are a person with a growing mind, a developing language, and an increasing capacity to understand yourself and others. And that capacity is the most powerful antidote to anxiety that exists. So from today, choose presence over distraction. Choose courage over comfort. Choose connection over comparison. And let your English be the daily practice through which you build a mind that is stronger, clearer, and more peaceful than the world around you. You are not behind. You are becoming. And the world needs exactly the kind of person you are in the process of becoming. Now I want to hear from you. Write one English sentence in the comments. Tell me this. What is one thing that makes you feel anxious about your English? And what is one thing you are going to do differently after watching this video? One sentence. Simple English. Your honest answer. I read every comment carefully. If this video helped you, subscribe to Gentle Wisdom. And remember, anxiety is not who you are. It is what you feel sometimes. And what you feel does not have to control what you do. See you in the next video.